This vehicle is sitting on a set of Michelin high-performance tires with 255/40 tires in the front, 275/40 tires in the back. Now these are wrapped around 18-inch alloy wheels with a gloss gray finish. It also has a high-performance, oversized braking system with ventilated rotors on all four wheels. The name of this color is tungsten. That's what it says on the window sticker, just tungsten. And it's basically just a kind of a regular silver is what it appears to be. So here in the front, the styling is really nice, and I'm glad it is a silver color because it does help make certain features pop out a little bit better. It has this place right here where you would think air would flow through, but it's completely enclosed. This area here is all enclosed. The airflow is in the center portion here, and then you have your radar adaptive cruise control sensor there on the left side. And a little splitter surface here in the front, and that is like a matte or a satin black. It's not completely flat. Now the parking sensors, there's parking sensors in the front of the vehicle and the back, and they're color coded with the vehicle, so they're body colored, kind of in here, and they do a really good job of sensing things around the vehicle basically. And it's a really advanced system, and it works really good. There's just one issue with the system. I'll show you that when we get on the inside. So the headlights, and right now the sun is shining in there pretty good, so we can see that multi-LED system. So this part right here is a bright LED daytime running light, in which you can't turn off. You can check out my night video for the full lighting overview. But spoiler, you can't turn this off. That very bright daytime running light. It looks sharp though. And then your headlights, these top three are projector LEDs. So there's 3 projector LEDs there, and those are your low beams. So the ones on the top are your low beams. The ones on the bottom are reflector LEDs, and those are your high beams. These stay on even when you have your high beams on, so it's not refocusing anything, but it does have a really good headlight system for the height of the vehicle. So this has a low stance, and so having the headlights in this low position, you know, SUVs and stuff, since it's a higher position off the ground, has really good lighting typically, just because it has a higher position and is able to, you know, spread that light out from a higher vantage point. But this is really impressive for the height of the vehicle. It's a really impressive headlight system. Taking a look at the profile, the styling is just a really impressive looking car. The wheels definitely look nice. The overall shape. Now, the side mirrors are a gloss black. The handles are a body color. And this front pillar, this A pillar right in here, is a gloss black as well. And this kind of, you know, gives it that wraparound glass look. Now, some of the features on this on the vehicle look like they're actually functional vents, but right here and right in here are just enclosed. It's just for looks. These are plastic pieces, and they're completely enclosed. They're not allowing any kind of airflow through or into any of these compartments. That satin black portion splitter there in the front, this bottom portion here matches that same color, the little black piece right here. And once again, this is for styling. And of course it continues there in the back as well. Just so you can see what I'm talking about, here's the piece here on the hood. You can see it's completely enclosed. And same thing with the door. You can see it has this piece right there. It looks like it would have some kind of, you know, air curtain on the wheel or some kind of airflow in there for some reason. but it's just completely enclosed. This is what the key looks like, and it's a full proximity system type key. And there's a Toyota name, has red here on the edge. There's a physical key on the inside that you can take out when needed. But there's very useful buttons here: lock, unlock, the ability to release the trunk, and a panic button. So as long as you have this key with you, it could be in your pocket, in a bag, as long as it's within a close proximity of the outside of either the driver or the passenger side door, you can lock the door by swiping your finger right in here. There's a little sensor indicated by these 3 little lines. You swipe your finger there, it locks the vehicle. In this particular case, it has it set to where it'll fold in the side mirrors when you lock it. To unlock it, you simply put your hand behind the handle, and it will sense your hand position, sense the key on the outside of the door, and allow you access to the vehicle. So you don't want to get that confused. This right here is to unlock, and then you have to swipe here to lock. So if you accidentally put your hand here, not there, then you can accidentally not lock the vehicle. There's also a little, this little plastic piece pops out, and there's a physical key location here on the driver's side only. Here's the inside of the passenger side door, and you can see it's mostly black, except for this contrast stitching here in a appears to be white or silver. Now the surfaces on the inside of the door, mostly soft touch here at the top. It's like an injection molding type stuff, and then the armrest here. Now nothing's like super soft. It's kind of rubbery soft. It's not like a pillow or anything. This is a gloss black hard plastic for your handle here, and it's enclosed, so you could potentially use it as a pocket, but it is that hard plastic material. Now it has a JBL sound system. There's a tweeter here, regular speaker there. There's a little storage area here in the bottom. It's very limited use. There's no bottle holder or anything like that. It's just a little tiny spot, and it's very, very shallow here in the very front. Now there's the threshold area. Now the threshold has a sill plate. Now just want to point something out. The size of this threshold is very, very big. Okay, so when you're getting in and out of the vehicle, you have to step over this entire area. You lift your legs over it in order to get in. So that kind of, in addition to the opening and the headroom and the size and the height of the vehicle and all that stuff, this is another one of those things where you have to get accustomed to getting in and out of the vehicle. So there's the sill plate, has a Supra badging there, Toyota Supra. All right. So the seats are a mostly manual seat, but does have some power controls here. There's a 4-way lumbar adjustment here, and then this is to adjust your side bolster, so you can adjust how much support you have on those or how much they squeeze you, depending on the case there. But the rest of it is a manually adjusted seat. And it does have height adjustment here on the passenger side, which is nice. So it has the contrast stitching, and now in this case it has the white and red in a French design here on the sides, and the center part is a felt lined, it's a felt lining in here, and it has perforations with red behind in the background. I don't know if you can see that, maybe with the sun, yeah, where the sun's shining you can see that a little bit better. Really pretty comfortable seats. I mean, they're not like super soft, but they do support you well. They're contoured nice, and the fact that it has the adjustable bolsters really helps out. Right in here, the leather stops, and then it has this like a cloth here on the bottom, and this protects keeps it from damaging the leather here where this has this hard plastic. here's the floorboard. Now there's a pretty good amount of space here on the front. The only issue is that you're sitting very close to the floor, so your legs are sticking straight out, so you will need all this length of leg room, especially if you're tall. There's a net pocket there on the side. The floor mats kind of Velcro to the floor, so they don't really slide around on you, so that's good. Now it has a glove compartment that is locking. It does have the ability to lock it, and it's felt lined, relatively small, but it does have a decent amount of room. And the dash, this is soft touch materials there, and it has a nice, the vents are nicely integrated into the design of the vehicle, and some contrast stitching as well. The swing of the doors is good. The fact that it swings out pretty good, because the opening here is fine in this area as far as getting in and out of the vehicle. Now the height is a little bit of an issue, especially for me, as far as getting in and out, and the headroom especially is an issue. So the roof kind of comes down and contours down here. So when you actually get in, your head is a little bit higher than this side piece, in my particular case anyway. And so you have to kind of duck your head to get past this part. So you know, it takes a couple times getting in and out to really figure out how to do it more efficiently, so you're not bumping your head every time. But once you kind of get used to it, it's not as bad as the first couple times. The fuel door is here on the passenger side, and it has a fairly traditional cap tether, but it also has this post. So when we take the cap off, it unscrews very little bit, and then you can take it out. It just kind of unhooks itself basically, and then it has this post. Then the post goes right there, so that way it kind of holds the cap for you while you're pumping gas. Taking a look at the back of the vehicle, let's start here at the top. The very top part has this like dished out area, so you can see right in here is dished out, and the higher portions where the driver and passenger will sit kind of gives you a little bit of headroom, but it gives you that less drag there as well, and just styling as well. So the third brake light, LED powered, here at the top of the rear glass, and then it has a integrated spoiler into the design, so it's not an external spoiler that's attached to the vehicle, and this is just mostly for styling. Now the tail lights, reverse lights, turn signals, all that are LED back here. This is a reflector, not a light, here at the bottom. Has parking sensors around the back, just like the front, integrated, matching the color of the vehicle. The backup camera is in the very center position, which is nice, right here. And it's decently integrated. You know, it could be a little bit higher, but it's fine. Considering the problems I have with it, when we get in the vehicle, I'll show you, it's fine where it is. So the exhaust is nicely visible, chrome exhaust tips here. And both these dual exhaust tips they come out of the same muffler. When you release the hatch or trunk or whatever you want to call it, technically it's a hatch. Whether it be using the key or using the button on the inside of the door here, basically the result is the same. Press and hold the button, it just basically releases. It doesn't lift up or anything. And so now you just lift it up like so. And it has the shade. that lifts up, has these strings in which it will lift it up, a portion of it for you. And it's secured in the middle and in the back, so it doesn't slide around or anything like that. And it's good to, keep the sun from shining on your stuff, also other people from seeing it. So it's a really nice, well-integrated shade. It just does a good job without having like a rolly thing or anything like that. It's nice. So here's your cargo area, and I think it's actually pretty decent. It has decent lighting back here, which is very surprising considering the rest of the interior of the vehicle. You can check out my night video for that. But just overall, it has some speakers there. And at first glance at these speakers, you'd think that it's like really good sound system, but it's kind of mediocre, really. Considering what it has in here, I think it should sound better. But anyways, that's my opinion. So as far as the sides go, it kind of extends there a pretty good amount. It has two nice bright LED lights, and it's a pretty decent amount of space back here, all things considered. And it's a completely flat there in the center. So, you can pack it pretty good, because now the opening is a little bit small relative to the actual size of the cargo area. So that might be a limiting factor as far as putting a box back here or whatever. But you can remove this shade. And let's go ahead and take some of these panels off so you can see what's behind them. When you remove the bottom cover, carpet and cover, then you'll see that the battery is located back here. Also, I removed the cover here to the right, and there is a tire inflator kit and a fuse box in there as well. There's also the eyelet for like a tie down if you're towing the vehicle, so that'll go into the bumper through the bumper cover basically. Also, here is a place to put the reflective triangles. You can put those in here in the very back. There's nothing here on the left side. So I moved both the front seats as forward as I could possibly go and tilted the seat as much as I could. And you can see it's not very far forward. So we're going to squeeze the camera back here so you can see that it does have a top tether anchor point right there for a car seat. Now, this is in the front, so you want to consider whether you want to use this for car seats or not. What's interesting, it has that same anchor there on the driver's side as well. But there's not a whole lot of room back here at all of course, once you put the seat back, you have zero room. But there is a map pocket on the back of both the driver and the passenger seats. So that might be useful for something. And here's what it looks like behind the driver's seat as that anchor point and map pocket, but you can see that's as far as I can get the seat to go forward. To start it up, as long as you have the key inside the vehicle, it could be in your pocket, in a bag, doesn't matter. As long as it's inside, you put your foot on the brake, hold it, and you push the start button to start it up. Here's the floorboard in front of the driver's seat. Now the floor mat does Velcro down to the floor, so it's not sliding around on you. And there's your accelerator and brake pedal. The accelerator pivots here at the bottom. There's also a footrest here on the left side. Opening up the hood, you can see it says 2X. So what you do is you pull it one time, it releases the hood, you pull it again to release the safety latch. Now the hood is just ready to lift right up. So typically at this point there is a safety latch in which you have to reach under the hood and release it in order to lift the hood. But since we already released that, we can just grab the hood and lift it up. And it goes up and it holds itself up. So you can see the hood is quite big because it wraps around the side of the vehicle quite a bit. So a lot of the styling here in the front is from the hood. It actually latches down in 2 places, 1, 2. And that's good, so considering the size of the hood. Now you notice there's no insulation or anything here, but there is seals, so the engine compartment is sealed up nicely. Here on the sides, the front, the back, all sealed up nicely. This helps with airflow, but also with noise isolation. So this is a rear-wheel drive vehicle, so the 4-cylinder engine is oriented this way, and the transmission's back here, and then it goes back to the rear end, and it's that way you have that straight line acceleration, unlike a front-wheel drive vehicle or an all-wheel drive. So this is like a foam cover here at the top. This kind of helps out with dampening the noise as well. It also is considered a safety feature because it provides a soft cushion on the top of the engine in case of an impact of a pedestrian or something like that. So this cover is a hard plastic on the inside, on the outside, but the inside is where you'll find the soft foam here. And there's the engine without the cover. So the exhaust flows here on the passenger side, and the intake is here on the driver's side. The inside of the driver's side door is just like the other side, except for it has a few more buttons. So there's a door lock controls there. Now the windows are one touch down. It kind of goes slow down, and then you do have to hold them to go back up. As soon as you let go, it stops. Try to do it fast, still just doesn't want to. You have to hold it to go back up. You can power fold the side mirrors just by pushing that button. Go ahead and fold those in if you want. And while we're looking at the side mirror, you can see a little triangle right here. That serves as the rear cross traffic alert and blind spot detection system indicator. So it'll illuminate the appropriate side. And this also is a auto dim rear view mirror on the auto dim rearview mirror, but also auto dim side mirror here on the driver's side. So go ahead and release those. You can adjust the side mirrors. You just pick a side here and you just adjust it like so. To release the trunk, there's a button down here. It's kind of hidden, but you do have a button. It is backlit, so you can find it at nighttime. So the adjustments on the seat are just like the passenger side. Has a height adjustment, it has bolster adjustments, 4-way lumbar adjustment, all that stuff. So the ability to move the seat forward and back is this bar right here. This right here is to tilt, raise and lower the front of the seat. So if you want to have a little bit more thigh support there on the front, you can use that button or that lever to adjust that. And the height adjustment is here, the tilt the seat is here. So it's kind of like mostly manual seat, but it does have some power features integrated into it as well. Here to the left of the steering column, this is where you'll find your headlight switch. So you can turn all the exterior lights off except for the daytime running lights. They just still stay on even when you turn them off. And then you have automatic headlights, parking lights. Then you have the ability to turn on left or right parking lights depending on your needs. Now, I haven't been able to get those to work or do anything, so these buttons right here, I have been able to see a difference when I push them, whether it be vehicle on, vehicle off, the headlights on and automatic or whatever. So, you know, not exactly sure what's going on with that, but that's what the intention of these are, is to be able to turn on a parking light on a particular side if you're parked on the street or something. If you want to have that light stay on, I guess that's what it's for. But your general parking lights are here. Your dimmer switch for your interior gauges. This also adjusts your backlit buttons, your screen, all that stuff as well. And the steering column is a tilt and a telescoping steering column that you adjust right here. So this is kind of like to the left of the bottom of the steering wheel. There's this lever. You push it down to release it, and you lift it up to secure the steering column. This door is very annoying at times. So it's getting in and out of the vehicle. Since it's a small vehicle, not much headroom and everything, it's a little bit of a pain. So the wider you can open this door, the better, in order to get out, right? But of course, if you're in a parking space and there's a vehicle next to you, you maybe can't open it up as wide as it goes because it might hit the car next to you, right? Well, it only has a couple positions here. That, and then close, basically. There is a spot right there which will hold, but if you let go of it anywhere other than those particular spaces, then it wants to basically like move on you. So sometimes you go to get out of the vehicle and you open the door and you let it go and it just wants to, so like my hand's not touching it, I'm just letting it go. I'm going like that and I'm letting it go. And so it's not, you have to like hold it, get it out there to one of those positions, find that position, hold it there for a second, make sure that's not moving, and then you can let it go, and then you can get out, you know? So it's a little bit of it's a pain. Now, you know, other vehicles have the same problem, so it's not just this vehicle. But it's a little bit more obvious with this one because of the issue with getting in and out for me anyway, because of the size of the vehicle and all that. So I noticed this particular problem a little bit more. It's a little bit more frustrating than normal. I'm sitting in the driver's seat. I'm 6 feet tall. I have the seat all the way back, all the way down. I also have it tilted as far back as I can, and I'm like still pretty vertical. So, you know, like, just to give you an idea, let's say you're drinking a bottle of water. Well, the headrest will not allow you to tilt your head too far back to drink the water, you know, that kind of thing, because the seats just don't go that far back, and it has a forward tilt to the headrest. So it's pretty interesting being in a vehicle like this. But as far as the leg room, now it's like you're sitting on the floor, so your legs are sticking straight out. But it does have a pretty decent amount of leg room. So with me being 6 feet tall, I do have to have it all the way back, and it's fine. And since your legs are straight out, the knee room doesn't really cause a problem, but it does have a decent amount of knee room here on the left and a decent amount on the right. So there's nothing really that kind of gets in the way particularly. This is a soft touch surfaces here, and it's pretty soft. It's almost softer than the armrest. Yeah, it is. This is actually softer than the armrest, just to give you an idea. I don't know why that's so soft, but the armrest is not here. Anyways, that's just the way it is. Okay, so steering wheel. So it's a leather wrap steering wheel, and kind of sporty looking. Has these little grips up here at the top, and it's not super soft, but it is. Feels pretty good. And it's not round, it's kind of contoured, sharper, and then rounder on the back. It does have some grips here on the back of the steering wheel, little finger grooves on the back here on the top, which is strange. I mean, it actually has them here at the bottom here and here as well. So you can feel the finger grooves here, and at the very top. Kind of old school, but that's pretty neat, actually. There is paddle shifters, so you can cycle through the gear ratios if you want. And the buttons here on the right side This is your volume for your radio. Mode changes through your audio source. You just rest on the one you want, just cycle through it. This is the ability to send and receive calls here. So you push that and you're able to, say the person in your phone book or whatever, and it's supposed to call them if it recognizes your voice. And this right here, this little scroll wheel corresponds with the screen here. So basically, while we're looking at it, in this particular case, it is basically just allows you to skip to the next song, since that's what have something playing or whatever. So your volume's here, but in order to change through a song on the steering wheel, you have to scroll either up or down and then make a selection by pushing in this little scroll wheel. So it's a little added complexity to change through the songs. On the left side is the cruise control. So you turn it on here, set, resume, and cancel. That's what these buttons are. You can set the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, or the radar adaptive cruise control by pushing these buttons, so more or less. And then this is to adjust your speed up and down. Now if you push it subtly up, it will increase your speed by 1 mile per hour. If you press it kind of hard, it'll go up by 5 miles per hour. And when you set the vehicle, it actually has a camera that can tell what the speed limit is by looking at the signs. And if you set the speed and you're going over the speed limit, it just sets it at the speed limit. Then you have to adjust it up. So it just doesn't set it at the speed that you want if you're going over the speed limit. So if you want to go 57, the speed limit's 55. Well, when you set it, it's actually, you're going to start slowing down basically. So it's a little bit of something you have to get used to. All right, so the windshield wiper controls are here on the right side, and it does have an automatic function, so you can pull that down, and then you go up to automatic. The next one is on, and then low, and then high. So unlike some vehicles where you pull it down, this is where you go up, and then the intermittent, you can adjust it here, the speed or the frequency. Now the turn signal's here, but it also has the ability to turn on or off your the automatic high beams. So the audio, and I like the fact that you can turn it off quickly and easily, because these are very bright headlights. So if it starts flashing somebody or just not working properly, you do have the ability to turn that feature off, which is good. This button right here where it says BC, I'll show you that. That basically cycles through information here on the screen. I'll go ahead and show that to you right now because it doesn't do a whole lot. So we can get some information here at the bottom. So it shows the distance to empty, average miles per gallon, and then you have both your miles per hour and your miles per gallon averages. Now it has it has a second one here, so you can see this one is average of 0, so this would be since the vehicle started, and then nothing, and then your trip and your odometer kind of cycles through this different information. Now to reset the trip, there's a little button down here. If you accidentally push it, it's going to reset your trip. So, and then you're done. you don't have your number anymore. So when you're cleaning the vehicle, make sure you don't accidentally push that button. Okay, so this is what the gauges looks like, and there's a couple things that's kind of interesting with this particular setup. So it's mostly a screen, so you can see a little bit of a glare there. Digital speedometers here on the left. In the very center is what gear you're in. So like your central focus is what gear you're in, and the tachometer, your RPMs there. It does have a digital clock, outside temperature, your odometer and trip information there as well. And remember, when I scroll the wheel on the right side of the steering wheel, it gives us information in this little empty spot. But it seems odd that the speedometer's here and that what gear you're in is here, but that's just the way it is. Also, the speedometer is kind of small, It's like the same size as the numbers there on the tachometer. So thought that was kind of interesting. Also, your engine coolant temperature is here, and your fuel gauge is here. But what's interesting about the fuel gauge is it has 7 bars, so it's an odd number. So right now we have 6/7 of a tank. So if we have 1 less bar, then it'll be 5/7 of a tank, 4/7 of a tank. You know what I'm saying? It's not like half a tank, quarter of a tank. It's an odd way of representing the amount of fuel you have. That's not like how people normally refer to amount of fuel you have, like half a tank or quarter tank. It's like a strange fraction. So if it had, say, 8 bars or 6 bars or something like that, it'd be less strange to me anyway. Maybe some people they don't pay attention to that, but that's just, thought it was kind of odd that if you're going to design a vehicle, you know, that I don't know why they did that. It's kind of weird. It is literally odd. Odd number. All right. And another thing is, this is a digital screen, so you can arrange things as far as the designers could arrange it any way they want, and also they could allow some customization. But the way it is now, it's you know, basically is pretty much fixed. The screen here with the shade up in the shadow, hardly any glare going on here. Just I want to point out that I had the brightness turned up all the way, so it's going all the way up, and I have the brightness turned on all the way on the settings. You can see how dim it is. You can barely see the clock over here, so it's a good thing it has a clock over here, because you can actually see that. But over here, there's certain things that are not very useful. But so this is the home screen, okay? So if we go to this radio right here, we have satellite radio, FM, you know, USB, Bluetooth, that kind of thing. And then we have the little home that pops up here. We can always go back to the home screen. And then you can scroll through and make the selection that you want by touching the screen. So you also have the ability to control the screen using this knob and these buttons. And from my angle over here, this is what it looks like. So there's some buttons back there that I can't see. Now my hand reaches the knob nicely, so I can scroll through certain things on the screen and make selections. I have to recognize where I am and where I'm going in order to use this screen. And then you push down on the knob in order to make the select that you want, the one you want, basically. But as far as the buttons, you kind of have to memorize which one is which. So like, say this navigation button here and the map button are not visible, so you kind of have to know where they're at. And you have back and options. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the map, navigation map here. So in the navigation, navigation map, it's this way instead of this way, since the screen is really wide and not vertically tall. So as you're driving, if you have it positioned to where it's following the road that you're on, then you can't really see much of the road because most of the road is up here, right? So so I've had it to where it just points north all the time, and that kind of helps out with that situation. Of course, you can put in, you know, destinations and all that stuff. It works just like in most other navigation systems, in which you can, you know, search addresses and all that stuff, and save, of course, save addresses and all that. So there's a quick search, and you know, you set your home address, reset destinations, enter address, points of interest, contacts, that kind of thing. When I push the menu button, it pulls this out, the screen out, to where we can see what's going, the bigger picture here. Now this is not going to pop up while you're driving, because it becomes so small that you can't see it. So I guess to avoid you trying to focus on it, they just disable this particular view. Then you can make selections here if you'd like. So it has a button down here for communications. It has a button for media, options. You can choose to have a split screen or not. But the screen, from my experience so far with the vehicle, driving it for several days now and everything, the screen is so not user-friendly and not visible in some cases that it's not something that is very useful to me. Mostly because of the visibility. I can't really see it very good, especially during the day. At nighttime is actually a lot better at using the screen than in daytime. I just gave up on trying to look at the clock over there. It's just so dim. And the camera system, while we're looking at the screen, let me just go ahead and put it in reverse, because two things will pop up here: the backup camera and the sensor system here. But the brightness and the clarity of the camera is so poor that you can't rely on it. You can quickly glance at it and get an idea, maybe possibly see something, but there's been situations where I can't make out certain things. If there's like a car back there, you'll be able to see it most likely, but as far as relying on this to back up, that's just, even as an additional view, it's just lacking. Right now we could actually see a little bit better, but when the sun's shining, so I have the shade up to try to reduce the glare and all that stuff. It's a low clarity. If you can tell, it's low clarity, and the brightness is low. It's just not very good. The sensor system is really good. Now, you can actually see that pretty good. It's just that backup camera, you can't see very good. So the sensor system, if you get close to something, it'll not only beep at you if you get too close, but it'll give you a visual reference of where things are close to the vehicle, and it's very precise. And even on the screen here, it'll give you some information. And when you get close, you can see it, but I wish the screen was bigger and brighter and clearer. The resolution is poor and all that stuff. So, I can go on about this particular thing. Now, you have the settings here on the left in which you can turn on or off your, like say, rear cross traffic alert, your parking sensors, that kind of thing. Now, it has the feature to where if you back up, if it senses something with the sensor, like you're gonna hit something, it'll slam on the brakes. So as you're backing up, if it mistakes something, say whatever's back there, it'll try to keep you from hitting it by slamming on the brakes. Now you can turn that feature off, which I had to do because I couldn't back up. But anyways, it's something that you can go into your settings here and turn that feature on or off. So having the ability to do the touchscreen is very good. I'm glad they added touchscreen and didn't just rely on this this wheel over here. Because some people, this may not be all that convenient, and the touchscreen sometimes you just want to tap and go. Alright, so there's the four-way flashers, and right here is a physical volume knob for your radio. Mode changes through, just like on the steering wheel, it changes through your audio source. And then your band, this will just change from AM, FM. These are all presets that you can quickly, push if you have different radio stations preset in the vehicle. You can go ahead and push those. And then this is for your changing through your tracks. So if you don't want to use the scroll wheel to scroll up and change through your tracks, then you can just reach over here to the passenger side almost, and then use those buttons. So here's the climate control. It has your driver and passenger temperatures separate. Same thing with where you want the air to blow. If you want the air to blow to different areas, you can have those separate as well. Here's your fan speed, front and rear defrosters. You can have the recirculate the air, automatic or manual. So the thing about this is it's a dual zone, but you can't sync them. So let's say you wanted to change the temperature here. Let's say you're in the vehicle by yourself. So I change the temperature. I can't sync it to where it syncs up with that one. So if I change this temperature too wildly different from the passenger, I also need to change the passenger as well. So that way they're not conflicting with each other. You know, because let's say you have this at 80 and this is, you know, this is 60, you know, they're going to be conflicting with each other. So you have to kind of keep them within the similar range. So, you know, having to turn both knobs regularly because you can't sync them is a little bit annoying sometimes, you know. If you're like me where you just kind of have it at very similar temperature all the time, it's not really a big deal, but just want to mention that. So right in here is a little storage compartment, and it has a USB port and a 12 volt power supply. Now you notice the 12 volt power supply has this that covers it up to keep things from going in there. Now if you're using it, now you have to have a place for this though, instead of it being attached or tethered in some way. This is a little storage compartment there. But you notice the USB port has nothing to cover it up. So things can go in there, dust and dirt or whatever can get into that USB port relatively easy since it's facing straight up. So you want to keep that in mind. Now they do sell, you can get on the internet or whatever, a little thing to plug it in there, but it'd be nice if it had a little cover or something already with the vehicle. Nice looking carbon fiber accent around the shifter here. And the shifter is a little bit non-standard. It's an electronic shifter. So when we put it in reverse, you actually push this button here on the side and you push it forward to go in reverse. Pull it back to go in drive. To put it in park, we push that. If we want to manually cycle through the gears, once it's in drive, we can move it to the left and use it like a little ratchet shifter to cycle through the gears. Now we can also use the paddle shifters if we want as well. See the paddle shifters here, and you'll know what gear you're in because it'll show it nice and big here in the center. So putting in reverse, push the button, go forward. To go in neutral, you just push the button and kind of gently pull it back to go to neutral. And then push the button, gently go back to drive. And then park, you just simply push that button. Now it has the auto start feature. You can turn that off here. You have to turn it off every time you get in the vehicle. It won't remember that setting. Sport mode is here. So we push sport mode. It will gives us a little bit different view here. Now I don't know if you hear that. So it sounds like a little bit different audio, a little bit different sound to the exhaust, but it basically just keeps you at a higher RPM range, and it also stiffens the steering wheel a little bit, and so anyways, it's not in my experience it holds on to the gears a little bit too much and gives you too much engine braking. When you let go of the accelerator, it just kind of, I don't know, the sport mode in this vehicle, the regular shifting of the vehicle is actually great. So sport mode just kind of not all that great in my opinion. The parking sensors, you can turn those on or off here. It has a little on light, so you can turn them on or off. Traction control, you can turn, if you want to spin tires, you can turn that off. Default will be on. This safety system button, when we push this, we can, it pops this up here where you can have all on or customized. And you can go in and customize what features you want to have on when you put it to the customization setting. So you have orange, off, or green. Electronic parking brake is here. To release it, you just hold the brake and push it down, and it engages the rear wheels. So you pull it up to engage it, and has a little light letting you know that it's on. So this is an armrest, not super soft, but it does also have cup holders to get in the way as well. So if you have cups in here, then now it takes away from your armrest area. So it has these little arms, that articulating arms, which is nice to keep put a cup in there or a bottle. It keeps it from wobbling around, which is nice of them to do that. There's no illumination in these cup holders. There's no illumination in this little storage area. These are spoilers for the night video. There's also no illumination in the glove compartment. So you gotta check out the night video. There's a lot of stuff that's really strange. There's some really good stuff, and then there's like some really not good, so good stuff. The rear view mirror is auto dim rear view mirror. Now, if you got somebody with their high beams on, then I don't know if you can tell, but the auto dim is in the center, and the edges, there's quite a bit of a edge that does not have, it doesn't dim. So if somebody's got their high beams or bright light, that still light can be reflected on that very large area on the outside. And it's actually auto dimming now because I have the shade of the light over the light sensor. And the driver's side mirror is auto dims, but not the passenger. So you can see the passenger does not. So I thought that was kind of weird because I was driving and there was this bright light in my face, and I was like, I lifted my head a little bit and then it went away, and kind of realized it has this huge area in which there's no dimming going on. There's home link garage door opener control buttons on the underside here. And interior lights. There's a button there, so you can turn them on, all off. When you open the door, they'll turn on as well. Then you have these little map lights here on the driver and passenger. These are all LEDs, fade on and off, which is nice. And these little orange ambient lights that shine in the vehicle as well. Roadside assistance is available here. The visor is pretty interesting. They're like a vinyl covered visor. They have a mirror with a little light that turns on, and they just kind of pivot. They don't disconnect here. They stay there all the time. They don't slide, they don't move or anything like that. Just a little tiny visor here. Because we have a large roof that swoops down here on the side, you see this comes up quite a bit here. So, you know, I guess it's not really a big deal. I hadn't had any really problem with having a small visor like that. But that's the way it is. So looking at the visibility back there, it's actually, I mean, really, it's got a large blind spot back there, but just overall the size of the vehicle and the angle of your position in which you're driving, I hadn't really had an issue with the visibility. Maybe because I'm used to the Challenger, I'm used to big blind spots or whatever. Also the you know, being able to have the rear cross traffic alert, the blind spot detection system, the backup camera, the parking sensors, all together makes the visibility and the ability to back up out of parking spaces not so bad. I wish the backup camera was better, but whatever. You know, you can still drive the vehicle no problem. In my particular case, it hasn't really been a problem. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. other than the little flickering going on, that's just the camera doing that. You see how the screen looks as far as the visibility. It's not very clear, it's not very bright, and it's not very crisp. You may not even be able to tell that there's actually a clock up here. So if you want to see what time it is, that's never been visible to me during the day. So just to show you what it looks like here, there's the backup camera. It's very, very dim. So when I move the vehicle, as you're driving, sometimes the sunlight will shine on it. So that's why I'm moving now, just to give you an idea of what it looks like when the sun is shining on it. All right, so you can see there. You can hear the brakes as well. Sometimes they get a little annoying. But just to give you an idea, because really the screen is not really that useful. I mean, the backup camera is just barely visible. You may be able to tell, I mean, you actually, if there was a puddle of, say, oil in the driveway here, you could mistake, like, say, a cat laying on the ground. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. If there was a cat laying on the ground or a puddle of oil, the resolution's low, the screen is small, the clarity's poor, and the brightness is poor. Now, and this sensor system is fantastic. I mean, it almost encompasses the entire area around the vehicle, and it does a really good job if you actually can see it. But as you can probably tell, I'm going to make the camera focus in as tight as I can get it, hopefully, and that's kind of over representing the brightness of the screen in order to, because you can see the background is all blown out now, in order to actually see it somewhat. But as far as your regular eyes, if I'm just driving and my eyes are adjusted to the road, then looking at the screen is hardly visible, really. I mean, I have the brightness turned up. I've done everything I can to get the brightness as high as I can get it, and it just seems strange to me that this screen is as advanced as the technology that's in it. The screen itself is so poor.